Newsletter Al-Mawrid US. February 2025. Global Invitation. This article Global Invitation by Javed Ahmed Ghamidi describes the three phases of Islam's global invitation. He writes that in the first phase, this invitation was first given to Adam, peace be upon him, and his progeny. In the second phase, Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, and his descendants were chosen for this task, and the Israelites remained in this position for approximately 1500 years. However, when they killed Prophet John and sought to kill Prophet Jesus as well, they were removed from this great responsibility, and it was transferred to the progeny of Ishmael. Thus, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was sent for this very purpose, marking the beginning of the third and final phase of Islam's global invitation. This phase continues to this day. This article can be read in the previous month's edition of Islamic US. Review of objections to the death penalty. Last month, under the Ghamidi Center's video series on 23 objections, sessions were held discussing the objections raised against Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's perspective on the death penalty. Alongside addressing these objections, Javed Ahmed Ghamidi further elaborated on significant points to clarify his stance. Some key objections and issues discussed in these sessions included, arguments of the jurists, punishment for murder in Hadith, law of retaliation, applications of corruption on earth, why does the punishment for prostitution apply to men, and stoning punishment in Hadith. Recordings of these sessions can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. The Palestine issue and the role of religious leadership. In his latest article titled The Palestine Issue and the Role of Religious Leadership, Muhammad Hassan Elias critiques the narrative presented by our religious leadership regarding the Palestine issue, highlighting its flaws and the severe consequences for the Muslim world. He writes that the issue of Palestine was fundamentally a political and geographical dispute, but our religious leadership presented it in a particular manner, turning it into a religious problem. As a result, the Muslim world has faced bloodshed, political instability, and economic hardships. Additionally, he discusses the challenges of Palestinian leadership and presents key points for the resolution of the Palestine issue. This article can be found in the January 2025 edition of Islamic, America. Can reason prove the existence of God? The Ghamidi Center has started dubbing all of Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's videos into English with the help of AI, allowing English-speaking individuals to benefit from his thoughts and ideas. In January 2025, 3 lectures on the topic, Can Reason Prove the Existence of God?, were dubbed in English and broadcast on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Urdu translation of My Discovery of God, Islam and Judgment Day. This book by Mr. Hamza Ali Abbasi has been published under the auspices of the Ghamidi Center and has received widespread acclaim worldwide. In this book, Mr. Hamza Ali Abbasi narrates his journey in which he overcame many misconceptions about Islam. This book has been highly beneficial in helping modern minds understand the commonly held misconceptions about Islam. The Ghamidi Center has also arranged for its Urdu translation, which has now been completed. The book is in the publication process and will soon be available for Urdu readers. Background of the 23 Objections series. Last month, Muhammad Hassan Elias recorded a podcast with Mr. Rizwan Ali, in which he shed light on the background, purpose, and impact of the 23 Objections series. He stated that the goal of this series is not to wage any battle against traditional schools of thought but to reflect on the religion of Allah as humble servants. Additionally, regarding Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's work, he explained that Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's sole objective is the pursuit of knowledge and truth, not to bring about social change through his arguments and conclusions. The recording of this program can be watched on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Voice of Research. The Ghamidi Center has recently launched a series of online seminars under the title Voice of Research, which continues to be held regularly. In these seminars, researchers and scholars present their research. The purpose of this seminar is to cultivate a research-oriented mindset, promote dialogue, and create a scholarly environment through critical thinking. Last month, 2 seminars were held. One seminar was titled Zakat and the Modern Economy, in which Dr. Salman Ahmad Sheikh discussed various important points, including the application of fiqh al-zakat to the modern economy, the applicability of zakat to new forms of capital, the application of ushr to modern means of production, and the role of the state in zakat distribution in a modern economy. The second seminar was on the topic, Is the Quran a Book of Science? The speaker, Dr. Ashfaq Ahmed, discussed key questions such as, what is ilm al-Quran? How do we reconcile the Quran and science? And, how has the Western world advanced in science and technology compared to the Muslim world? What is included in faith and what is not? This article by Ishraq, America editor Mr. Syed Manzoor Ol Hassan explains Javed Ahmed Ghamdi's stance on faith. He writes that in Islam, only 5 elements are considered fundamental beliefs: faith in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, and the Day of Judgment. Any additional elements should not be classified under faith. He further explains that including interpretive aspects of the Quran under the domain of faith leads to 2 major intellectual problems. First, it opens the door for unnecessary debates about what qualifies as faith, and second, it prohibits critical thinking and discourse on narrations and information classified as faith. This article is available for readers in the January 2025 issue. Tafhim al-Athar series. Under the auspices of the Ghamidi Center, last month, various programs were held under the Tafhim al-Athar series, focusing on different traditions related to the Quran. Topics included, teaching the Quran to non-Muslims, healing with the Quran, the dangers of learning the Quran without ethical and moral training, using the Quran for material gains, and the character and conduct of Quran bearers. The recordings of these sessions can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Quarterly Ishraq US in English. All scholarly and missionary activities of the Ghamidi Center of Islamic Learning are conducted while keeping modern means of communication in mind. Since English is a widely used global language, Ishraq America is also published in English to enable a large number of English-speaking individuals to benefit from the intellectual and literary contributions of the Farahi school of thought. The issue for November 2024 to January 2025 was published last month and is available on the Ghamidi Center's website. This magazine is published under the editorial supervision of Mr. Abid Mahmoud Hashmi, while the honorary editorial board includes Mr. Mukarram Aziz, Mr. Ijaz ul-Haq, Mr. Mahmoud Rashid, Mr. Malik Ilahi, and Mr. Muhammad Ammar. Greater Israel and Defeated Muslims. This is the title of a podcast by Muhammad Hassan Elias, Director of Research and Communication at the Ghamidi Center, which he recorded with host Mr. Basit Nadeem. In this podcast, Muhammad Hassan Elias responded to the host's questions regarding the Palestine issue, explaining in detail Hamas' manifesto and narrative. Along with discussing the reasons behind Hamas' attack on Israel, he also condemned their act of taking unarmed civilians hostage. Furthermore, some additional key topics were also discussed in this program, including, is religion complete without hadiths, the reality of the objections against Javed Ahmed Ghamidi, and Islamic democracy and the LGBT community. The recording of this podcast can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Ghamidi Center's online Conca. Under the auspices of the Ghamidi Center, an ongoing online Conca, spiritual retreat, is conducted, where Dr. Moiz Amjad holds a weekly session focused on self-purification. Various topics related to self-discipline and spiritual growth are discussed, and participants' questions are answered. Some key topics discussed in last month's sessions included human consciousness and self-awareness, the 7 unique abilities of a human being, why do disagreements exist despite universal morality, how are we alive, Recordings of these sessions can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Third issue of the quarterly Salihat. The third issue of Salihat, a quarterly magazine published by the Ghamidi Center for Women, has been released. Its audio and PDF versions are available online. This issue includes scholarly, literary, and historical articles and interviews that cater to women's interests. Some key topics covered in this issue include the reality of marriage and dower, waiting period and its issues. Do not ask about the mistakes in the content. Our elders' concept of worship. Important aspects of children's upbringing. This magazine is published under the editorship of Naeem Baluch, with Wajiha Hassan Wahidi serving as the assistant editor. Questions and answers with Hassan Elias. Last month, Hassan Elias, Director of Research and Communication at the Ghamidi Center, gave an interview to the well-known YouTube channel, Muslim Today. This was primarily a question and answer session based on Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's thoughts, where attendees asked various questions. Furthermore, topics such as the relationship between Hadith and Sunnah, the Khawarij's perspective on the sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and political disputes among the companions, Sahaba, were also discussed, and Hassan Elias provided satisfactory answers. The recording of this program is available on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Teaching Al-Bayan in English. Last month, Mr. Shehzad Salim conducted an English language lecture on Surah An-Nisa, verses 60 to 103, from Mr. Ghamdi's Exegesis Al-Bayan. These lectures are available on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Introduction to Maulana Islahi's scholarly contributions. In last month's episode of Hayati Amin, Naeem Ahmed Baluch presented an introduction to Maulana Amin Ahsan Islahi's scholarly contributions during his association with Jamiat Islami. He writes that during his 17-year affiliation with the party, Maulana Islahi led its intellectual front. During this period, he penned numerous groundbreaking scholarly articles and essays, all of which were published in the party's official magazine, Tarjumanul Quran. Additionally, he categorized Maulana Islahi's works into 3 distinct groups and provided details on each. Islam Study Circle. In January 2025, Mr. Shehzad Salim delivered lectures in the Islam Study Circle program, discussing topics from the Quran, Hadith, and the Bible. The themes of these lectures included support for religion, gratitude, controlling one's tongue. Additionally, at the end of the session, there was a discussion on the faithful, and answers were provided to questions raised about the discussed topics. The recording of this session can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's weekly question and answer sessions. The Ghamidi Center holds a live weekly question and answer session where Hassan Elias presents various questions received by the center to Ghamidi, who then responds to them. The topics discussed in the January 2025 sessions included: is the purpose of religion to establish civilizational supremacy? What is the meaning of tradition? What are the applications of tradition? Is the Farahi school of thought situated within tradition? Can civilizational tradition be established without power? Additionally, the difference between Islamic history and Muslim history was clarified. The recordings of these question and answer sessions can be viewed on the institution's YouTube channel. Usul, the fundamental principle. In January 2025, Mr. Shehzad Salim recorded 2 English language lectures on Usul as part of the Meezan lecture series. The recordings of these lectures are available on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Hikmat, with Ghamidi. Last month, 3 episodes of Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's weekly program, Hikmat, Ghamidi Ke Saath, broadcast on Dunya News, covered the topic, a review of objections on Ghamidi's concept of Sunnah. Another episode focused on the intellectual contributions of the Farahi school of thought. Some of the key questions discussed in these programs included: how can the verification of sunnah be done in the present era? What is the difference between millet and sunnah? Why must sunnah only be defined as a practical method? Do Abrahamic traditions also exist among Jews and Christians? How has the Farahi school of thought addressed the inconsistencies in traditional religious thought? The recordings of these programs can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. English summary of the 23 Objections video series. Mr. Shehzad Salim is summarizing all the topics discussed so far in the 23 Objections video series in English. Last month, he recorded 2 lectures summarizing the topic music and singing. These programs can be viewed on the Ghamidi Center's YouTube channel. Issuance of fatwas based on religious opinions. People often reach out to the Ghamidi Center of Islamic Learning for legal opinions on the practical applications of Islamic law. They seek guidance on matters related to marriage, divorce, inheritance, and various other economic and social issues. Last month, 2 fatwas were issued addressing such concerns. These fatwas were issued by Hassan Elias in light of Javed Ahmed Ghamidi's scholarly approach. Dr. Shehzad Salim's online private consultation sessions. Every month, Mr. Shehzad Salim holds online private consultation sessions, where individuals seek advice on various personal and family-related issues. Last month, over 30 such sessions were conducted. In these sessions, participants sought guidance on difficulties faced by parents and solutions for teenage problems. Ask Dr. Shehzad Salim. This is a monthly live question and answer session in which Dr. Shehzad Salim answers questions on various religious, ethical, and social topics raised by the audience. People can ask their questions in both Urdu and English.